Hayi, shabuzinto. Shabuzinto mfana semzini. I'm good. Can't complain. So everything is good. And you? How are you?
I'm great, man. Couple of achievements. Can't announce it here, but
Achievements, is it career or
career achievement.
okay. No, that's good.
Yeah, so
Siyakuhalalisela.
I'm happy about that this week, and the
So
rest is yet to come.
So basically you had a good week. Your week was dope.
It was extremely busy, but I had a dope week. Especially, the announcement of this thing in we announce right here. But yeah, it was dope.
Nah, that's cool, man. I had a bit of a messed up week. There's a clip from last week's episode where I was explaining about the Home Affairs thing. So about those guys stealing money and stuff like that. So now people seem to think that I work at Home Affairs based on that clip.
Yeah.
I always heard people say that clipping is a problem. You should watch the whole show and all that. So I got a first glimpse of that where people just spoke a whole bunch of BS about me, thinking that I was actually talking about myself. I work at Home Affairs and I stole money and things like that.
Yeah, that's insane, bro.
Yeah, so I'll actually ask Uspav to include that on the description of this episode. So yeah, so we're good, Moss.
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of It Is What It Is. It's your boy Jigijiane, Clever Sekasi, and I'm with
Soap,
aka
Zane. Ngizothi inhleva yasekasi nami.
Siphube kahle bethu sonke.
I'll just say lava boy yasekasi.
Sibonga. Yeah. So how are you, Pa?
I'm great, man. Yeah, I'm great. Can't complain about much.
No, that's good, man. So let's get right into it. First topic of the day, bruh. This thing, 22 million rand statue of Mandela in KZN.
Yeah.
I don't know, the Department of what. They constructed a bronze statue of Mandela for 22 million rands. So a lot of people are complaining, Uguti, we don't need a statue, especially a statue of that much money. So yeah. So what do you actually think about your Nana thing?
It was actually two statues.
Two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mandela and Oliver Tambo.
Okay.
That one. I mean, 22 million. People of KZN are well in their right to complain about that. Recently KZN had floods. A lot of people lost their homes. Service delivery infrastructure is not on par.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people are well within their rights to complain. I mean, how does that 22 million statues help the people of KZN? How was it approved? Who came up with this and approved? And it was a good idea for them to do that while everything else is deteriorating in KZN. So for me, I think people in KZN are well in their right to complain, to ask questions. It's like this thing that happened with the 22 million flag. They've got this 22 million thing going on. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, I also agree, bruh, that I don't think we need a statue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so what's the point of looking at a beautiful statue whereas the roads are not cool and people don't have houses and all that? Because I can tell you, even yesterday, so my woman was driving back from the Val and she hit a very huge pothole. I don't even think that's a pothole, it's a crater, bro. And it fucked up both tires. Yeah, so when you see things like that and then you're seeing the government spending 22 million on statues, then you're like,
And then again, how many statues are they gonna make, man? There's one in Cape Town. There's one in in Sandton. I think there's one in East London or in the Eastern Cape. All of them, 6 million, 8 million. Yeah, I think two is 6 million, and then one is 8 million, and then obviously the 22 million one because it was both, and then the Sentin one is like 6 million. Like all that money being spent, bro, on all these statues, and yet we still have a country that's rigged of things that we don't even want. You know, crime is bad.
Because imagine what you can do with that money. You can do a lot, my dog. There's a lot you can do. You can build a lot of houses. You can feed a lot of people with that. I don't think we need statues. But then again, I also think that maybe, so this is me just thinking out the box. Maybe it's just different departments, because even last week we was talking about SONA, where they give different departments budgets. Maybe it could be that the department that they gave the budget for maybe these things, the statues, is the one that's actually doing a great job. And we can see the job that they're doing. And then now we are blaming them for the lack of the other departments for not doing their job. Maybe if the other departments as well, maybe with the roads infrastructure and all that, if they fixed the roads and did their job, then we wouldn't even mind seeing these statues because the roads are fixed and all that.
Okay, that's another way to think about it. From my side, I mean, with so much unemployment happening, 22 million for maybe a tourist attraction type of thing, because it's just a tourist attraction, a statue. It doesn't really do anything for these people. So yes, maybe there's a department within the government structures in KZN who approved this because of a reason that you said. However, now, why? Like, I'm asking myself many questions: who and why? Like, who approved it? And they are not really giving us reasons. If maybe they gave us solid reasons why there should be a bronze statue that costs 22 million, two of them in KZN, then I would understand, this is being explained, this is why they're doing it, and it's understandable. So you go erect two statues, no explanation, and then suddenly the people of KZN need to be okay with that. They at least need to explain, and there is some sort of compensation that needs to be given to the people of KZN. You can't erect a 22 million statue, and there's people who have lost their homes during floods. Still homeless.
Yeah, because it feels like they're stealing money. Maybe the statue is 1 million and they're pocketing the other 21 million. Okay, so I want to hear my boy Muzi, what he has to say. Yeah.
I have questions for you guys with this conversation. I want to make sure that you guys are like taking enough steps back when it comes to things like this and being able to look at it properly, holistically. At some point, I think you saw me nodding. You went down the correct road, Jiggy, when you thought about departments.
Yeah.
When you think about how government functions, the people who are responsible for the road are not the people responsible for the lights. So they're not the people responsible for arts and culture, which is going to be these people. So there's going to be a holistic budget. And you can't look at arts and culture doing something and say, why isn't the road fixed? This money was never allocated for the roads. There is money allocated for the roads. We are supposed to go to the roads people and say, yo, how do you fix this? There is disaster relief people. How do we fix this? And you also went down the correct road, but you took a turn. You were right there when you said it's a tourist attraction. But have you considered how much tourism attracts into KZN? So if we're saying it's a tourist attraction, does it firstly, we have to ask ourselves, is it a good tourist attraction? Will it actually attract tourists? And if it does attract tourists, how much is the uptake in a given maybe like 10-year span? Does it pay for itself? Therefore, then tick, 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 it becomes a good statue. These statues and monuments are important, extremely important for a country, because you cannot now come 50 years later and say the Mandela statue is not necessary, but the Statue of Liberty in New York is. Right? Why is one statue more important than the other one? Because they both maintain heritage of a country. We have a heritage to maintain too, because we've decided as a collective country that these two figures are important to us historically. And when people learn about our country, they're going to come here and say, this is the statue. And people are already complaining that our young kids that are being raised by millennials don't know South African history. They don't know what happened in the Sharpeville massacre. They don't know what happened in 1976. These are our kids. We parents now. And our kids don't know these things. So it is important for us to have heritage sites. I think we need to look at it a little bit more holistically.
But, what I can say, bruh, is that who's important, Yabo? I think the people are important. And when the people have spoken, then I think the government should listen. Because I can guarantee you that if you can take a microphone and actually interview everybody in KZN and you ask them, what do you want? Do you want a statue? Or do you want this, or that? I think a statue would be the last thing on their mind to say, we need a statue.
There's a book on leadership that I read by Henry Ford. He's not Ford, the Ford car company that we know today. Yeah. But very importantly, he's responsible for the automotive industry as we know it today.
With the factories and
very important. When you go to him, and he said if he interviewed everybody before he had the car moving the way it was, if you asked everybody what do you want, they would have told you they want faster horses. You know what I mean? Because the person on the street does not necessarily have the correct vision for what could benefit them on the long term. So that's where leadership comes in. What we need to ask ourselves here in this room is that's our leadership has the correct vision for the future. I don't believe every Joe on the street has the correct vision. No society has been like that. That's how people vote for Trump, because it's the wrong vision. You understand? We need to ask ourselves, does the government we've elected have the correct vision? And is this the correct path for the vision? Right? As I asked the question, yes, we've got the statues. What are the statues doing? What are they there for? Heritage, which is something you cannot be able to calculate on rands and dollars. But if we're saying there are also tourist attractions, that we can calculate.
So do you think, or which department do you think is responsible for this? Is it the arts and culture department? Like, do you have an idea?
If it's monuments and statues, it's most definitely arts and culture. They're going to be the people who are going to be, that's their jobs.
Yeah.
So if we're going against arts and culture for arts and culturing, we're asking them not to do their jobs because roads and infrastructure didn't do their jobs. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense when you say it like that.
Yeah.
And do you think arts and culture is actually a well-oiled machine?
No, terrible. We've got the worst Minister of Sports and Arts and Culture in the history of this country right now. So no.
Personally, I think the statue should wait, talk about. I think that the government should do right by the people, and I think the people's voice matters, because I think with these politicians, in most cases, I think they don't understand how it's like to live in these conditions. And then now, if you're gonna put a statue of 22 million in the people's faces, it's like you leave a sour taste in their mouths, because they are thinking, okay, look at the conditions that we are living in. So I think with them complaining, there is a very good reason for them to complain about this. And I think the government should just listen. Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think the government should listen to the people.
Yeah.
But then again,
Because what I can say as well, I mean, I look at the country as stokvel, so there's the people are the ones that bahlansi imali, like we gather money with tax and all that, and then the people elects maybe I don't know what's this, an accountant for the stokvel, and then they know they have a common cause. Okay, we're gonna buy let's say groceries at the end of the month. When somebody passes away, we're gonna do this and that. So now I think it's important for those people to hear the cries of the people that are gathering the money. And now what happens is, which is sad, I must say, is that those people, we have to watch them mismanage the money that we contribute for the goodness of the country. So I have every right to complain when I see you know what, these people are not doing the things with the money that we are saying that they must do good things with. Maybe let's say they're buying a Rolls Royce. You bought a Rolls Royce, but we don't have groceries at the end of the month. What is the money that we were gathering? What is it supposed to be used for? So that's why I think it's very important for the people to be listened to, because they are the ones that make the government. It's not the other way around. So
yeah, it's another way to look at it. And awesome.
Yeah, and I heard Umuzi talking about Trump. You don't like Trump?
No.
You don't like him. Why? Why don't you like him?
It's fascism. If we're looking at it this way, if we don't do something about Trump, and by we I mean everyone on earth, if we don't do something about that regime, our children and our children's children are going to judge us very harshly. The same way people of Germany will forever be judged harshly for Hitler, and the people of Italy will always be judged harshly for Mussolini. Right now, we live in a society where things are more centralized. It's not just Americans. It's going to be the world that's going to be judged harshly for Trump. What Trump is doing, for example, right now in Iran, and his administration is doing in Iran, whatever window dressing they can try to give you, it's pure evil. Whatever window dressing they can try to feed you, it's actual evil they're doing. What they're doing in what the Israeli government backed by the US did in Gaza is a modern day genocide. And we're going to be judged harshly for not speaking up. I'm very proud of South Africa being one of the very few countries that stood up bravely against Israel and was able to say something. What happened in Venezuela, what's happening in America right now in their own country with ICE. If you read history and pay attention to the rise of Hitler, there are so many parallels. It's not funny. Look at how Trump goes after the media. It's exactly what Hitler did. How they co-opting the media to speak in their one nationalistic voice. Exactly what Hitler did. When he took a paramilitary para-police force called the Gestapo, that's ICE. So all the Hitler steps and all the Trump steps are in unison. We are watching a modern day Hitler happen in front of our eyes, and we're watching him force the world into a new world war in front of our eyes. And we're going to be judged very harshly by our children and our children's children by allowing this to happen. So no, I'm not at all a fan of Trump. I was hoping after his first term, because I felt like his first term was a close shave, we got away with something, but the US electorate thought it was good to bring in an authoritarian dictator to try again. So here we are.
You know what I heard? That Bibi Netanyahu as the one that's actually pulling our strings. Apparently, they say that he's been waiting for a dumb president, like, to pull these strings and start wars and, regime changes and all that. So immediately when Trump got into power, he's the one that keeps on influencing him. The influence is America is now fighting Israel's war.
Yeah.
They are aiding Israel on the genocide. They are aiding Israel's war against Iran,
Mm.
you know. And I just want to know, like, what do you guys think about the influence of Israel on America or on Trump? Because they say that it's Netanyahu who's like,
Pulling the strings.
yeah, go do this, go do that. In if you do that, we'll win this. I also think there's a bit of an influence with this Epstein thing going on. Maybe they have something on Trump, and warmongers. They are the ones that are also influencing him. That hey, if ever you don't say anything or you don't do what we want, your files are out there.
Gosh. Muzi said something there. We would say this whole thing is evil. So with me, I don't really have the details. I don't know much about it. I haven't done any type of research or maybe Guilandelela njabo. I'm just looking at it from how everybody's looking at it. But for me, it's really evil in a sense that I feel like it's a thing where you are a leader of Foslo, and then there's another leader of Katlehong, yabo? And then you buy bread from the leader of Katlehong. Maybe they charge bread like 15 rand per loaf, yabo? And then you know that your people are getting bread every day, yabo? It's a cheap bread and all that. And then one day the leader of Katlehong says, nah, you know what? My price of bread, I'm gonna just rise it up, and it's gonna be $30 now instead of 15 rand. And then you, as the leader of Fosloras, Guti, my people are gonna suffer. Then, for you to remediate the situation, then you take bombs and bomb the people of Katlehong. So to me, that doesn't make sense. Imagine, bro, you sitting, okay, and then after you bomb the people of Katlehong, the leader of Katlehong bombs the people of Foslo. Now you're chilling, watching TV with your kids, and then it's bombs flying around the place. So to me, that's very evil because those people who are chilling, maybe watching the TV and all that, they are innocent people. I don't think it's something that they deserve. So I think a good solution would have been like Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There's where they say trial by combat.
Yeah.
I think good Trump and I don't know that guy, whoever he is, they must just have a combat. We give him a sword, the other guy takes a sword, then they fight it over. And not just bomb everybody. So that's just my thought on that.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
Look, here's the thing about war, and it's always been like this. It's old rich men that wage wars, and it's poor. It's poor young people who die in wars. And the sad thing about these two conflicts, the genocide in Gaza and the war in Iran, you realize that brown life doesn't really matter. Black life doesn't really matter. Because these people were parading the fact that there were 7 American soldiers that died in this conflict. And woe was me, these 7 white people died. Forgetting that on day 1, they bombed a school with 175 little girls.
Damn.
That's day 1 of the Iranian conflict. That's what they did on day 1. And they didn't blink an eye. It didn't even make the news. That's how crazy it is. Like, because they're brown and they poor from Iran, so they don't matter.
Yeah.
How many children, we lost count on how many children were murdered in Gaza. We lost count.
Yeah.
At the same
that
breath.
Was insane.
Yeah, and at the same breath, this was all because a handful of white Jewish people were taken out of Tel Aviv. So you saying these 40, let's say it was 40, it was less. You're saying these 40 white lives are worth more than 1 million young children. That's what this was an exercise to understand the importance of white life on top of other people's lives. So now we know how much more they value one life versus the other one.
And then now this war has spread across to Dubai, which was considered the safest place in the world, safest place for investment.
Yeah.
They started bombing it. Infrastructure, I think they said
even
all
have-
American companies, it could be, I don't know, CIA, but in CIA buildings or something like that. My words are leaving me. But now Iran is bombing in Dubai, and they're bombing everything America, military bases and everything. So now a country that doesn't have anything to do with this
It's getting affected.
is getting affected.
Bruh, our slave queens have nothing to do with this. They're getting affected. Bruh. This was messed up, dog.
Yeah, it's a messed up thing, but hearing about Dubai, yeah, it just says that, you know what, this war is like it's expanding. It really is expanding.
Do you think we are safe here in SA? Because with all this that is happening, like what is protecting us and what is to stop, maybe let's say Trump from coming here? Maybe let's say if he were to choose to, or maybe let's say there is something that he wants, maybe the gold or whatever, I don't know. But do you think we are safe?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Mzansi, no. I don't think we are safe.
Yeah.
Firstly, our soldiers, they are now being deployed at Cape Town. At some point, they went to help with this war in Congo with Kagame, and people got shot quick, came back. Our navy is getting disengaged. I don't think we are safe. Should anything happen right now, we are on our own in South Africa.
We're not very, I think, safe in the sense that are we protected from a naval point of view? No. We don't necessarily have the military might to stand up to anyone outside of Africa. Within our continent, I don't think anyone can stand up to South Africa's military might. But as soon as we talk to literally anybody outside the continent, no. But are we safe in the sense, firstly, geographically, we're very far from the conflict. One, that's safety with proximity. The second safety is, if you look at the reason behind the conflict, the bread, and the bread is an analogy for oil. There's a reason why the countries that got attacked all are oil rich. It's not a coincidence that Iran is in the crossfires. They just happen to be China's greatest oil supplier. You saw Venezuela.
Yeah,
they're giving oil to Russia, right? Nigeria, oil-rich countries. Those all three were attacked by Trump, right? And it's not a coincidence.
Yeah,
it's the white liquid. I mean, it's a black liquid. Sorry, and we have notoriously little of it, and we don't have anything that is that they're hungry for. So, for the most part, we are a partner diplomatically to the enemies of America and Israel, but we're not directly a military threat. I saw an article saying if World War III were to break out, we're the 10th safest country in the world. So we're relatively safe.
Do you know what's the first?
The first, I think, was Australia.
Okay.
I'll try find the interview to see if we can get clipped in this. Not the interview. Sorry, the article. To see if we can get clipped. The image can get clipped here. But yeah, there are 10 countries that are safe if World War III were to break out, and out of the 10, we made it. We made it at just 10th. So we relatively safe.
We are safe. We are safe, Nyana. But Nakona, speaking of death, no. Did you see what happened to that Uber guy who was mugged and killed? Do you see that story?
I don't think he got killed. Yeah, I saw the story. But most of them, man. Oh, yeah, the one that got killed by that chick and...
yeah, I think the boyfriend.
Yeah, I saw that, man. Yo. That's terrible. You know, it seems to be something that's like becoming a thing in South Africa, where an alternative transport where, you know, you request Iglande Gating is supposed to be the safest thing that gets you to wherever your destination is. But these guys are in danger now. You know, whenever I'm in a Uber or a Bolt, I always just ask these guys,
Yeah.
they'll tell you,
Ish.
I don't go to Westbury, I don't go to Eldos. Whenever I get a request from there, I just know it's cap. That something is gonna happen. They're requesting just to get robbed. It looks like it's a thing that really is, you know, endangering the lives of these guys, because I mean,
To
nabo
put food on the
bayaspana,
table.
you know,
They've got families.
they've got families, you know, but what is meant to put food on the table for that person is now something that could endanger his life, Jane. You know, so it's crazy, man, and that's what I think.
Yeah.
That the one other thing. Nah, let me just leave that one.
Kulumba baba. Okay.
Yeah.
But that job is a very dangerous job. And I also do the same thing as well. I ask them, okay, how is it like? Have you ever experienced maybe such a thing? So there's usually a story that they have to tell about. I also have a friend, our friend, he drives Ama Uber. One time there was a girl who was shot, I think, or things like that. So it's really not a safe thing. And also the guys who are mugging them now, but they'll say that they are putting food on their families' tables and all that, but at what expense? And I think they also see these guys as an easy target because they can obviously request from a place where maybe, let's say, it's dodgy, and they know they can get them isolated. And but what I think also is that with this type of job, I think maybe the Uber guys, if they were to be in such situations, I think they'll just have to give up the phone and the car, because I've seen some of them where they fight. Maybe you see with this guy, he's holding a gun like this, he's shaking, it's like he's scared, I can take him, plus he's slender or whatever. And then they try and fight, and then they get into like trouble, and then maybe the guy gets scared and shoots them or whatever.
And have you seen that it's mostly just the younger
Young,
generations of these kids that are trending for
being
robbing
murdered.
these Uber guys and murdering them? For instance, the one that came out in Westbury. That boy doesn't look like he's even 20 years old.
Yeah, it's very young.
You know,
he looks young.
But we can also consider the fact that the services, that being Uber, that being Bolt, I'm forgetting the other one, InDrive, also have a part to play in the safety of the drivers. We have two drivers who two incidents that were able to get a resolve from the simple case of dash cams. Does this mean that every car needs to have dash cams that are always recording, that are not recording onto device, are recording onto server? So as a deterrent, so if someone knows that I'm going to go into a car, I'm going to try something, my face is immediately on here. I'm going to get caught, I'm going to get arrested or worse. So because now we've got two cases that are now resolved thanks to the dash cam.
Yeah.
So do we now say, okay, cool, is it a resolution to say all of them without exceptions need to have always on dash cams and sound recording, so that when someone thinks of this as a way to make a quick buck, you understand that you're putting your own freedom at risk? What's your guys' thought on that?
And also, what I can add on that as well, it also protects the consumer as well, because we've also heard stories of these guys raping our women, maybe mugging them and all. Yabo. So if there is a dash cam and it records into maybe the cloud, then I think it would also protect those consumers as well. Maybe on the app it tells you that the dash cam is online, or maybe you can see it on the app that it's online or somehow. Yabo. Then I think it would be good. It would be a very good security measure as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What I do think, and sorry for saying this in Zulu, akekho umuntu ohlakaniphe njengesigebengu. Like honestly, bro, these guys always find creative ways to, you know, maybe this time. Okay, it is a good thing that they do that, the webcam thing. But now criminals get creative all the time.
Yeah.
This time, maybe they don't go into the car immediately when you park. They start robbing you from outside.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. What I can say, Ngalokabo, is that in my profession, so I'm in IT security, right? So what always happens is that it's always like these things are always mirrored, where there's always a vulnerability and then there's always people who fix that vulnerability. So these hackers, they learn from what they do, and then when they do whatever that they do, and then the people who are in IT security, they come up with ways of remediating what those hackers are doing. So even if maybe we remediate something and then time progresses, they find a way to now maybe take advantage of that thing that we remediated. And then you need to come up with a new remediation for that as well. So I think maybe it's that, because now we're seeing that this is the issue, this is what's happening, so this is a security measure that we can place in. And as you say, Gutivele, the thugs are very smart. If they come up with something else, then we also fix whatever they come up with. Yeah, well.
Do you think they need to when was it? I think 2 years or 3 years ago, I was in one of my aunt's Mercedes. That thing has a camera from
the top.
Yeah, from the top view.
Yes.
You know. Do you think one of those would also be one of the good things for that security feature for those Uber, Bolt drivers, you know, in drive?
Perhaps, but also like with us musing about these solutions, we need to also understand Guti, these corporations, your Ubers and your InDrives will always pass on the expense to the driver. So with every solution that we try to have, we need to make sure that it's a solution that's driver friendly, as far as them being able to implement it and it doesn't hurt their pocket too badly.
Yes.
So I don't think a dash cam is that expensive. And I think as soon as we get crazy and crazy with our solutions, these people are not going to necessarily foot the bill.
Yeah.
If we make legislation that these things need to be mandatory, they'll say, cool, driver, sort it out. In the same way, when petrol goes up, they still expect the same amount of money. The people who get the hits are the drivers.
And plus, if you were to save it in the cloud, you need infrastructure to save those videos. Imagine there's how many cars, how many Uber cars, how many Bolt. Then you have to save that video in a server in the cloud. You need that infrastructure, you need that space to save those videos, and that space costs money as well, just to add on what he's saying. So yeah.
I never thought about it like that, but yeah. It's good to have IT guys and
yeah. So our next topic, I know, Boozy, this one is close to your heart since you are since you are in that industry. So this thing of Showmax being cut off and being closed. So I don't know. Have you heard of the story? But obviously you've heard of it since it's in your industry.
Yeah, fully aware. Terrible. What's happening with MultiChoice as an entity is a catastrophe for South Africa. And I think people are not understanding that this is not a catastrophe for artists or people. It's without hyperbole, I can say and someone may listen to this and think maybe I'm being dramatic in my means of speaking, but this is the greatest cultural catastrophe since '94. This is a touchstone moment in our country because two things have happened. Firstly, there was the migration of a lot of eyes and money to multi-choice. So when people moved from what was the traditional television and radio stations to multi-choice, a lot of our intellectual properties moved with them. Then I think about 15 years ago, the then SAPC, I'm forgetting his exact position, I think COO or CEO, sold a lot of SAPC's intellectual property to MultiChoice for a penny, you know? And by selling it to, if you guys remember SAPC On Call.
Is it like when we started seeing those old shows in DSTV and all that?
Exactly. That's what happened. He had sold that entire catalog for, trust me, for what it was worth. He sold it for less than 20 cents on the rand. It was a crazy move. And now with with MultiChoice imploding, that entire cultural archive goes down with it. So what's happening is it is a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe. When the French bought, when MultiChoice was bought over by Canal Plus, I'm not sure if our listeners, our viewers are familiar with what happened there, but MultiChoice found themselves in financial troubles, and they were bought over by a French company called Canal Plus. And everyone thought, oh, Canal Plus is coming to save DSTV. No, they're coming for what they can pillage. This is it's capitalism 101. They're not here to run the country, the company. They're not interested in sitting in France and running a company in South Africa. Are you kidding me? No. What they want is what they can extract from the company, make their money back, loot, finish, close this thing, and move on with their lives. So that's what's about to happen. So this is just the beginning of that entire exercise.
So why would you say it's a greatest catastrophe? Why the word greatest?
No, the greatest cultural. I qualified it cultural catastrophe. Here's why I'm saying this, so you maybe understand where I'm coming from. There's someone once said something to me which always stuck with me. It says, if you can teach a lion all the words in English and it can speak all the words in English, you still wouldn't be able to have a conversation with the lion. Because we don't speak in words, we speak in references. And reference comes from art. And art, as like television, gives us most of our references. And the way we're speaking right now comes from the way people speak in different parts of the country that we've never been in different parts of the world that we've never been in. That comes from the reality shows we consume. That comes from, for example, if you go on TikTok right now, a lot of the conversation is going to be around Big Brother. That's multi-choice. A lot of the conversation is going to be about the housewives. That's multi-choice. It's going to be around, when all that goes away, what happens to the way we view or consume the world? It's like when you walk into a lift with someone you don't know and you realize this person is a Pirates fan. In reference, as a Pirates fan yourself, you guys have 2 hours worth of conversation in pure reference. What happens when the reference is taken away?
So isn't it a way of that now we need new references? That means there's a gap now that is created.
It's not an easily replaceable gap. For us to build the intellectual archive that we built, it took us over 50 years of radio, over 50 years of television, of music, of art. All that took a long time to build. When that all goes down in the space of overnight, that is a scary moment in our lives, because for us to be able to replace this, remember, SAPC is a shell, less than a shell of what it used to be. I don't believe it's recoupable to what it used to be anymore. ETV does not have the capacity to do what is required and pick up the slack and the pieces. Community television is so far behind; they're not even in the HD world. We've moved 10 years away from HD. They still need to catch up with HD. We are in 4K. That's how far behind everything is. And for us to expect social media to fill in the gap, social media is informed by television. So who informs the thing that we're trying to get? It's like say we are basically robbing ourselves, waking up at night, robbing our own wallets, then going to sleep, then wondering why there's no money in the wallet in the morning.
And I know with this whole thing, what I think, bro, I think it's that era where we were jumping from CDs to USBs. So I think with all these things, Showmax, SABC, and all that, I think it's CDs right now. That's what I think, because a lot of people don't consume these things. And I feel like they are sticking to what they know and what used to work in the past. And now I think the world is moving in a different direction, because if a lot of people were still consuming them as they should, then they wouldn't be closing down. A lot of people, like, I don't even know what plays, maybe let's say in SABC 1 or SABC 2. I don't know when last I saw a show in SABC. So I think that now we are in that era where I feel like a lot of people are failing to adapt, or they are failing to come up with the newest thing that would actually replace what's old. Because also another thing is that even with movies, as an example, I saw a video where they were talking about now they have to spell it out to you what happens, like with regards to movies. Maybe let's say if they're stealing money, they have to say that, no, let's go steal this money. And what they have to re-say it. It's not like before where people had a very big attention span where they can watch a movie and like completely concentrate on the movie until the movie's finished. People have short spans right now. So they like what's this fast content, like reels and things like that. So I think that with Showmax, these shows and all that, I think they are being replaced by something that I don't know what it is.
There's something called someone actually said this to me. I'm only saying to you what was said to me. Someone said because I said something to the similar effect that, and someone looked at me and said, you've got what's called city boy arrogance. And because you live somewhere, you believe that's the reality of the country you live in, and it's not. The highest watched show in South Africa right now is not something that's sitting on a streaming network or something that's going to be for us. It's Skim Sam.
Okay, so with that, right? Skim Sam.
To finish the thought.
Okay, yeah.
If you please, if I may allow, that goes for the next 15 most watched shows in the country. The Zulu News is still up there. Generations is still up there. Right? So the country you have in your head and the country that is reality. Most of the country was never able to afford DSTV.
At some point.
Ever. That's why Adam said it was a catastrophe when that back catalogue was sold to multi-choice in the first place. That was a horrible move because you took from the people who cannot afford ACPC to start off with. You took their back catalogue away and sold it.
Isn't that an illusion, though?
No, like, that's the truth. The numbers are the numbers.
Why I say maybe it's an illusion is because maybe you say that there's no show that a lot of people watch about, like maybe let's say a Skim Sam, or maybe let's say in YouTube. You're saying there's no YouTube, maybe a video or whatever that they can watch more than Skim Sam. So if we don't look at it as maybe that show specifically, but we look at YouTube maybe as a Skim Sam. If you say YouTube Skim Sam, and you take the number of people watching YouTube than the number of people watching those shows won't allow. So doesn't that make it an illusion, because there is no concentrated thing maybe in YouTube that they watch, but everybody is just spread out. Because I think that the fact that they are like canceling these shows and all that, I think it speaks volumes as well. They wouldn't be canceling these shows or canceling these companies if they were being watched as much as maybe you say that they are being watched. There's a lot of people. Maybe let's say I live in the city. I've got maybe city arrogance. Maybe there are people somewhere. Maybe let's say in, I don't know, Mpumalanga somewhere. They are watching these shows. But then if that is the case, then why are they closing off these ones?
Something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm adding to what you're saying, or I think it's a question that I'm also just asking myself as well.
Yeah.
So now, when you put it like that, now we have to think about the condition of a country in terms of there's so many people that are poor in South Africa.
Yes.
You know, and if you are poor and you can't afford indoor, what's the one thing that you'll watch? You don't have YouTubes.
Yes.
You know, Wi-Fi.
Yes.
You don't have access to Wi-Fi most of the
Yes.
time. You probably access Wi-Fi through
Yes.
or access internet through data,
Yes.
which has gone crazy expensive also.
Yes.
So there was the one thing that you can get for free is mainstream TV, which is SABC 1, 2, 3, and ETV.
Yeah.
So now with Showmax, DSTV, MultiChoice, it's paid services.
Yes.
You know, and if those shows are not making any money, and because of the condition of the country, that people are poor.
Yes.
People, the highest unemployment rate in South Africa, which also would affect them with streams. And now you have another alternative, which is people are the working class. They don't watch TV anymore.
Yes.
It can be DSTV, it can be mainstream TV. They don't watch those. What do we do?
On the phone.
Yeah, we stream. We have streaming services, Netflix. We watch podcasters on YouTube. You know, if maybe we need to access movies, there's sites where, you know. Please don't say I'm encouraging this, but those things you can get them for free on the internet.
Yes.
So why pay for something?
Yes.
When, you know, especially as a working class, why pay for something when you can get it for free?
Yeah,
You
because
know, it's not the right mentality, because we are not helping our fellow brothers who are working in that industry. But, you know, an average South African I think would be on that
because
mindset.
There was a time, I think in the past, there was a time where entertainment was plays. Maybe Zayn is the number one actor in our hood. He has his crew. They do all these stories. They act them out for us. We watching them. And then there were people who had television and people who didn't have television. And then when the time progressed, it so happened that a lot of people had television. If you can listen to the conversation we're having now, is that we are saying that a lot of people don't have the internet, but they have this free thing, the television and whatever. So I say that to say that technology progresses, things improve, things become better, and there's always disruptions. So television was a disruption, maybe let's say to plays, when people were doing plays. And what I'm saying is that now there is a disruption that is happening to these companies, Showmax, television, and whatever. And the reason that they are shutting down is that disruption is happening because they can come up with maybe something, I don't know, maybe they come to an agreement with Elon Musk, maybe. And then they say, okay, you can bring your internet provided this. And then he gives everybody free internet. Because there's free internet, and then people who create TVs, they put in, maybe they own all of the TVs. All your TVs, they have to have these applications and all that. And then now everybody has access to YouTube, to whatever, causing even more disruption to the system that is there. So if people are complaining and about they saying all these things, to me, I take it as if it's that it's the adapting, because you have to
things are evolving.
Things are evolving, and now you have to adapt. Because also, just to add just one last thing, there's an example that they use to actually also explain this with tractors. So when tractors were created, the workers in the farm, they complained that these tractors are going to ruin our lives. They're going to take our jobs. There's not going to be any jobs anymore and whatever. And then the tractors came in, and now we are used to tractors. We know, Uti, when you are doing farming, a tractor has to be there. You don't see it as a thing that can take your job or can do this and this and that. So, yeah.
We don't have to imagine this future. There are people around the world that live the future you're envisioning. You think of a place like South Korea. South Korea, their public service internet is fast. Their free public service internet is faster than any internet you can buy in this country. The one you get at the train station for free when you're waiting for the train is faster than any internet you can buy with money in this country. But they still have film. They still have television. They still have, they've got the best television shows in the world right now. They've got culture, right? So the idea that disruption needs to be the disruption of culture is something I strongly disagree with. What's happening right now is, because I spoke the fact that our Minister of Arts and Culture right now is a mouth-breathing idiot. Right? These are things that when you have someone who knows what they're doing, can protect certain moves. You don't allow business to move unfettered, which is why we've got so many problems in this country. Most of our problems are not caused by government. 90% of our problems that we actually point to government for, like unemployment. It's not a government cannot fix unemployment. They can create an environment where employment is possible, but they cannot employ everybody. The people who are disingenuously pointing at government, saying, look, government is doing this, is the private sector. It's the private sector's jobs to employ people, right? To digress back to the point I'm making about this, we allowed, firstly, the way MultiChoice was allowed to behave in our country was awful. Because when MultiChoice moved in and they had a monopoly, they were increasing prices aggressively every year. Every year. So they were profiteering hand over fist with money. And the market's going to get to a breaking point. And that's the thing about industries. They're going to get as much money as they can possibly get and run away like bandits. But if you live in a country like South Korea, like you would say, where they understand the importance of culture and protect the culture. They understand that this business is too important to fail. We cannot allow them to fail. Sorry, MultiChoice, you cannot raise your prices by 150 rands every year for no reason. No.
Let's fund you.
And still get the same streaming services or same
prices
television.
Could have stayed at a place that were reasonable for years if they were properly regulated. Our problem is, firstly, how our government regulated things was wrong. And we allowed, and we're still allowing, our private sector in South Africa to get away with nonsense, right? Our private sector gets away with murder.
Yeah.
And all of the problems we spoke about today, all of them, the crime, we spoke about the unemployment, the economy, all these things we spoke about. Those are all private sector problems. Crime goes up when there's no employment. If I can tell you right now that our private sector in this country is sitting on top of 1.5 trillion rands uninvested capital. They're just hoarding it. They're not using it for anything. They're just sitting on top of it. And if you reinvest that into jobs, into capital, and the more money gets into your pockets, our pockets, more jobs, less people become criminals. When a rising tide goes up, all the boats in the harbor go up with it. Including them. They make more money. MultiChoice doesn't need to close. People don't have to lose their jobs. All of these things can be avoided if the right people do what they're supposed to do. What we need our government to do is to put proper regulations and safeguards against companies and put Imagine if a company is able to scoop 10 of the best employees from university, but they're not required to reinvest in the university that they took the employees from. They're just taking and not giving back. So if you're saying, I'm going to take 10 of the smartest people from vets, but I'm going to make sure there are 10 bursaries for children from high school to get in. You're keeping the hamster wheel going. That's what we're talking about. That's what they to be legally required to do that, but they're not in this country, right? And that's just an example of a few things that we can touch on in some other date. I'm behind the camera. I need the conversation to be in front of me. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So, on a lighter note, since we're talking about television, Big Brother. Do you watch the show? Do you watch it? I see a lot of people talking about it.
I used to watch it when my sister used to live with us. She was the one that used to like it, so
because she's there, you there. Okay, you
automatically just watching. For me, it looks like a never-ending house party. So I have watched it. Still don't understand what's going on there. I can see that there's activities, people are winning points. There's food that is being given to people weekly, or I don't know. But it looks like, I don't know, a house party that is never ending. And for some reason, one person keeps leaving all the time. So I have watched the show, but it still doesn't make sense to me.
So do you understand, or maybe can you try and understand why somebody would like that show? Because I also don't watch it. I've only ever watched it once when I was like scrolling. I was young. When I was scrolling, and then I came across it, and then I had a look. So what I saw was just, for me, it was uninteresting because I saw people like they were just waking up. It was in the morning. They were waking up. So yeah, was combing her hair and shit like that. So I found it very uninteresting, and I never ever watched it ever again. But now on social media, I see a lot of people talking about it. All this, all that. So maybe can you understand why somebody would love that show?
I think people like watching people. People like watching people, human behavior. How does this one behave? People. I think people are fascinated by people.
Yeah.
And if you get a show where you have 20 people trapped in the house, or not even trapped, maybe reside inside one house, put cameras, you can see them bathing. I want to say something. The first time that I got interested by Big Brother was when they were telling, I was young, when they were telling me that they would sometimes have sex on TV. I was like, hey, I didn't know it born. You see, so it doesn't happen all the time because people have got families, and you go outside that house having have done terrible things in front of everyone. It just messes up your life in one way or another. Your family in hey, now TV.
Your dick is like all around. Everybody knows it. And,
I feel like it's people love watching people. The psyche behind it, how people win this, how you get to be liked, how you actually win this thing. I don't understand. Apparently, you get voted. They vote on you. This guy is the one that is fascinating. That's why I'm thinking it's a human thing that human love watching other human do stuff. Maybe you have this personality that people love, attracts people. You are fascinating in one way or another. When there's activities to do, maybe you are the most efficient. It's something that I don't understand. Maybe in the future, if anyone does understand, can give us more insight, maybe so I understand, because it's trending. Every week Big Brother is trending.
And man, I don't understand that show, bro. I don't want to lie to you. I don't understand people who watch it. I don't understand how you can like switch on your television and say that I'm gonna watch this show. I don't understand it specifically on the time thing. Maybe it's that I'm very busy. I've got a lot of things to do, yabo. And I know with him, time is of the essence game because I don't have much of it. I do a lot of things. So I can't really put my head inside of a person who would actually sit and say they are watching that show, given that sometimes it's just people not doing anything. I don't know, maybe you're sitting, okay, they are still maybe washing the dishes and then you're watching them and then you're hoping it's okay, let them finish the dishes, maybe they'll do something or maybe they'll go smash each other or maybe you anticipating that. You so yeah, man.
And what used to be exciting for people, and one of the things really when I was young that got me, let me go and see what's going on. The shower hour. People love seeing other people naked.
Gosh, dog.
And can you imagine on that show? I don't know if they hide it now. I haven't watched the show in years. But we, the shower hour.
Ola.
We are there. We want to watch those bums. So I think it's one of the things that got people attracted to the show because there's nakedness. We are watching people real life conversations, activities. Maybe it's a cocktail of many other things. But I think I still wouldn't watch the show.
Yeah, likewise, bro. But again, in the interest of time, you guys will tell us on the comments what do you think about Johnny Big Brother or what do you find interesting about it and make us understand because come from a place of curiosity. Yabo. So yeah, we'll hear from you guys and we'll see each other on the next episode. Any last thoughts, Muzi, Zain?
Fun times. Thanks for having me here today, gents. Yeah, I've never seen a whole hour of Big Brother, but I realize on social media that people create narratives and characters, and there are real stories around what's happening in the house, and the public will keep who they feel is the most interesting and who's moving the story forward and who's more interesting to them, and get rid of the people that they find irritating and annoying and not keeping the story forward. There are games, mind games, and it's a lot. I saw on social media there was a girl washing in the sink, like corner, and I was like, what is going on here? And I go on TikTok and someone's saying, no, I saw her do that, but I still love her. I'm like, what's going on? But so it's narratives. So it's but that's let's leave it at that for today. For the people who are interested in Big Brother, maybe we'll have a social experiment and have Zayn watch 24 hours of Big Brother. And let us know what he thinks. Let us know who he's supposed to be watching and stuff.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
All right. Closing remarks. Thanks, Muzi, for coming through. I think we are good. One thing, guys, all the time that we always ask for. Please comment, please like, please subscribe to our pages. We'll only get better. And from your boy Soap,
to Jiggy.
out.
It is what it is. Yes.